All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. It is 12:03. Welcome everybody to the April meeting of the Crownsville Advisory Committee. I am your chair, Chris Trumbauer. Thanks for joining us. We have a decent agenda today, but we're going to move through it quickly. Mostly it's updates. It's been a minute since we've met. I think it was early December. Since that time, we have released a master plan. We've also been through an entire Maryland General Assembly session. And so we're kind of in a new phase of the committee. But we're going to go ahead and dive in, and we'll start with the project manager updates. Our fearless project manager, Mike Stroud, is, he had the nerve to be off this week because it's spring break. So I said I'd cover for him, and he wrote up a very detailed a very detailed update, as you would expect a good project manager to do. So I'm going to tick through that, and then we'll take questions if you guys have any. So the first, he wanted to report that design for the utility upgrade projects is continuing, and that's the water distribution system, the electrical distribution system, the sewage pumping station and force main, and modifications to both the water and the wastewater treatment plant. So those are big infrastructure projects that are ongoing. The actual ongoing site projects are, this is Cemetery Memorial, and the latest report there is that the engraved granite is to be delivered in about a month. We've been told to expect it mid-May, and there's a small pocket park with historical signage at the corner of Crownsville Road and North Road, which is also scheduled to be completed in May. So those things are happening. We have some action going on our trails, and we'll have a more detailed update from our Fearless Rec and Parks Director, Jennifer Lays, in a bit. So I'll skip through that now. The initial list of structure removals, which was approved by the Maryland Historical Trust and posted to their website, and there's a project manager meeting with the contractors for proposals. So that's happening. And staff cottage number 6, which was in super bad shape, that removal is complete. So that was the really ramshackle one that there wasn't much left of. And then finally, just as the master plan is now completed, we're shifting focus to implementation. So there's several new projects that have been started in the system and will now be part of the county's CIP project. So those include the front entrance, which is the intersection of Crownsville Road and Generals Highway, the new Walker running track that's over by the Campanella building as a amenity. There's a feasibility study of the Meyer building for a reuse there. And then there's a feasibility study of the Campanella building to see if that can be renovated or whether it needs to be completely rebuilt as a recreation amenity. And then finally, the study and phasing plan for upgrades to the maintenance building. So those are all the project manager updates. If anybody has anything else to add or any questions, I will do the best I can to answer them, but more likely, I'll just make a note to ask Mike when he gets back. All good? Susan, did I hit the highlights? Yes? All right, very good. Okay, so then as promised, we have a more detailed update on something that I think is really exciting, which is progress on our trails. And so I'll turn it over to Director Jessica Lays to give the committee an update on that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jessica Lays with Rec and Parks. We're super excited to give you an update on the trails. This is on the Hawkins Road side of the property. So if you remember the map, Hawkins Road is where the water tower is and some of the utility towers. So DPW had a kickoff meeting in March, which was with Central Services, Rec and Parks, and then our partners, who is MOORE, the mountain biking enthusiasts that built the trails over on the Bacon Ridge side. So the consultant is RKK. They have been talking to us about the alignment of the trails, specifically the public outreach and how we will communicate with the community, how we will complete the trails in a timely fashion, and then roles and responsibilities of who's responsible for what once the trails are constructed. So MOORE has been out there flagging. I had the privilege of hiking it last week, and it's about 3 miles of trails that have been flagged. It's a pretty little loop loop around the spray fields and the areas that we flagged saying you're not allowed to be on right now, so that in future development or future improvements that the trails don't have to be moved. So the next step, now that it's been flagged, is that my staff, the park rangers and DPW are out there with a very sophisticated GPS doing the coordinates of the trails so that we can put together a map, and then that map will be approved by all parties, and then we'll go into construction mode. So super exciting to finally have progress there. Brecken Parks and DPW will also be constructing a small parking area off of Hawkins Road. If you remember, if you go farther down Hawkins Road, you have the trailhead of Bacon Ridge. It is always overpopulated and overparked along the road. So we're hoping by putting the secondary lot on the same road that our visitors can park of one or two places, but they'll still be able to enjoy both amenities. The next meeting with the group is actually at 1 o'clock, right after this meeting. So we're hoping to kind of regroup, have everything tied up, and then start with the agreements that need to be put into place to get the construction started. So we're really excited. It's making some great progress, and we have some aggressive goals to getting the trail systems built and getting us all out there on the property.
Very cool. And Director Lays has volunteered to lead the inaugural hike once the trails are complete, I understand. So thank you for that.
Yes, we're hoping to have one on the first day. So the first day hike is always on New Year's Day. So we're hoping to be able to host a New Year's Day hike out there.
Very cool. Awesome. That's a good goal. Anybody have questions on the trail action or any of Ms. Lay's updates? All right, very good. So that will bring us to the photo tour walkthrough. And Hannah, I think you will give us the scoop on that.
Yes, so I'm going to screen share, but first to give a little bit of context, as all of you know, we have limited or very restricted access to the site at Crownsville. We can't really have the public out there due to safety and security issues. Although, as Chris and Jessica described, we're working on trail access, and we have that historical marker going up. So we are actively working on getting public access to the site. But in the meantime, we have put together a photo tour to give the public a little more information and insight into the buildings on the campus and the context for those buildings. So I am going to screen share. And we just posted at the end of last week a photo tour. You all got some of the substance of this information a few months back. We asked for feedback from members. But it's posted on, this is the Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park.
Hey, Hannah, just so your screen is okay, very good.
I just realized I probably have both up. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Now you should just see very big now the Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park webpage. This is the main page for the project. If you scroll down here towards the bottom, you'll see the interactive online photo tour. And click on that, and it comes up with a Google Earth link that brings you to the photo tour. And you'll see here that there are little orange pin marks on all of the buildings on the Crownsville campus. So you can click on each of these, and then on the right side, it pops up with some information about the building that's selected. And then there's a few pictures for each building. So I'll just go through, and you can see this is the administration building. We have some different views from the outside of the building, as well as a couple, in this case, there's one interior image, and then you have some of the context of the history of the building, who it was designed by, when it was constructed, and then the source for the information. And a lot of this information is also in the master plan document as well, but this may be a more accessible format for people to view. And I'll just click on another one, maybe the female attendance building, so that you can see, again, we have some photos of the outside of the building. And then there are a couple interior photos as well. And then again, the text describing the history of the building, what it was, when it was constructed, what it was used for, as well as the source information. So please, if you have any constituents that are interested in kind of what the campus looks like, direct them to this photo tour. Hopefully this is a helpful tool for people to get a sense of what the campus looks like, what the buildings look like, what their status is, and what they look like on the inside. And I will stop sharing if I can figure out how.
Very, very cool. So Hannah, Asha asked a good question of how are we going to get the word out about this? Is the county going to do a press release or some other event?
So I believe we did do a press release last week, and I can share that around to make sure the committee has it as well.
Cool.
I
And
apologize. I can't tell if I'm still screen sharing. Am I?
No, you're good.
Okay, good.
And so partners, or especially like our elected officials, please feel free to share that link with your constituents. But it is, like Hannah said, it's not quite as good as being there, but it is a very good way to experience the site without the potential for asbestos exposure. So we have that going for us. All right, well, Hannah, you did such a good job with that. We're going to keep the ball in your hands, and you're going to go through a couple of announcements for us.
Sure. So the first announcement I'll do is about House Bill 971, which was a state bill that went through the General Assembly this past session. They just wrapped up on Monday of last week. And this bill, as you all may recall, the committee is currently established by executive order from the county executive. House Bill 971 instead establishes the committee in state law for a period of 5 years. And so the purpose of this is to really protect the vision established in the master plan that you all have contributed so much to. So there weren't any super significant changes to the purpose or makeup of the committee in House Bill 971, with two exceptions to the membership. We now have 2 new members, sort of. One is the Executive Director of the Governor's Office of Community Initiatives, or the Executive Director's designee. This is Larry Walker, who of course has already been on the committee and has been a valued member. Previously, he was serving in the seat designated for an appointment from the Governor's Office. So we'll have someone new moving into that seat, but Larry will continue to join us in his designated seat. And then we also will have the Executive Director of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, or the Executive Director's designee. So this is Chanel Compton, who participated in some of our subcommittees over the past 18 months or so. So we're happy to have her join us on the advisory committee. She's out of town this week. I did invite her to attend this meeting, but we'll get her looped in so that she can join future meetings. So I also want to thank, I know we have Delegate Bagnall with us, who helped a lot with the idea and forming this legislation. The rest of our state representatives, Delegate Schmidt, Senator Guile, also for their support of this legislation, and then Delegate Pruski, who was the sponsor. And then the final update I have is we are getting ready to do the unveiling for the memorial at the cemetery. This has been an ongoing project. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Friends group that has, over a decade or so, has been doing a lot of historical research to match up records and identify the names of individuals buried at the cemetery that's across I-97 from the main portion of the campus. We are in the final stages of getting that memorial finalized and delivered to the campus and installed this spring. And so we will have an unveiling ceremony on Wednesday, June 25th, beginning at 11 a.m. with some brief remarks from a few people and a short program. So we will send more information and invitation to you all so that you have the exact information. And we hope that you can join us for that event and the unveiling of that memorial that we've been working on, in particular with the Friends group, but also with the support of our state delegation as well.
Great. Well, thanks, Hannah. Lots going on. Good updates. Hey, it looks like Councilwoman Rodvian has joined us, but she's in the attendee section, so we may need to.
I will take care of that right now.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so as you guys can see, there's a lot happening now that we've got the master plan adopted. We're starting to move into that implementation phase. So you see there's actually things happening. But of course, these are big things. They take a while, but I think things are really going to start heating up. So as we move forward, we'll continue to give updates, and remember that each individual thing that happens on the site will likely also have public engagement opportunities. So when we talk about the new walking track or the Campanella building or the Meyer building, those are all county projects that will go through the normal process that does have additional opportunities for community feedback and stakeholder input. So we're trying to keep things moving as quickly as possible, but we're also doing it the right way, through the county's established processes. Sometimes we wish those would happen faster, but it's important to make sure that viewpoints are heard and everybody is engaged, especially with such an important project. So those are all of our scheduled agenda items. This is the portion where we will now entertain any questions or comments from actual committee members. So if you have anything you'd like to raise or ask, please either unmute yourself and ask, or wave your hand around and I'll call on you. Okay, looks like we've got a satisfied committee, so that's good. So now we'll move on to any public comments. We do have a few attendees, so if you want a comment or a question, I think what we do is we use the raise your hand function, and then we can unmute you and hear from you. Is that right, Hannah?
Yes. I'm not seeing any raised hands, so we may be good.
All right.
Attendees
Well,
as
I did
well.
promise you guys a quick meeting, so I'm just, I'm delivering. I just want to be clear. So then the last thing I wanted to talk about is our next meeting. We are going to try and generally be on a quarterly schedule. We were a little bit off because I think our meeting last month would have conflicted with some of the last weeks of the General Assembly. There was a lot going on. So we're going to look at July, probably Thursday again. So I don't know, Hannah, if we've picked a date or if we're looking at maybe, what was it, the 10th or 17th of July. So what I'll say is those are the two dates we're looking at. And if any committee members have a conflict or a preference, please reach out to Kalaisha or Hannah or me, and we'll try and get that July date set pretty quickly so we can get it on your calendars, and that way it won't conflict with your planned summer vacations. So I think that's good for now. Hannah, do we have anything else for the good of the order here?
So I see that Joyce unmuted. Joyce, did you want to say anything?
Yes. Thank you for a good meeting. Excellent progress.
Yeah.
I have a question from the area. I believe there was an order or a bill from the state that the hospital properties will be open to housing. Can you comment on that, or a date, or traffic, or anything?
So I don't believe there was any legislation from the state about having Crownsville open to housing. The master plan does contemplate potentially a small housing component on the site. So that is something that we've discussed, although there are no concrete plans at this point. But again, we're not aware, and I see Delegate Bagnall also is saying that there was nothing from the state, no state legislation around that.
There's nothing that I'm aware of, but I can go back and review the housing bills that passed, but there was nothing that was specific to the Crownsville site outside of the of codifying the advisory committee to make sure that we were moving forward with the master plan.
There are some other former state hospital properties that maybe there was something that affected one of those, but I agree. I wasn't aware of anything specific to Crownsville.
But we can do a crosswalk and just make sure that there isn't something. Joyce, if you have any information that could help us with that crosswalk, I'd appreciate it if you could just send that to my office, and we'll look into it.
Great. All right, well, very expeditious meeting. We covered a lot, but we did it quickly, which I think is great. So stay tuned for the next meeting date. And if anything happens between now and July that we need to bring to everyone's attention, we'll definitely do that. But as you can see, I think a lot of our kind of planned activities are progressing along the timeline, and we'll keep you apprised of that. But barring anything unexpected, we will look forward to seeing you again in the middle of July. So thanks, and have a great Easter weekend coming up. Take care.